Tofu switches. These are a linear long pull switch, full nylon housing, including the stem, and 22 millimeter spring. I'm assuming single stage. 58-gram bottom mount. Pre-lube no. Manufacturer Tecsee. Okay. Yeah, so Tofu switches. This is a collaborative switch between TofuTypes, KNC Keys, and manufactured by Tecsee. So a lot of people involved on the project, but what makes this particularly special is, in my opinion, the full nylon housing and the super long spring, 22 millimeter. So yeah, this full nylon housing, from my experience, makes for a very full sound, and there's this like bassier undertone. Even though this is a long pull, so it is naturally clacky, there's like a little depth there, which you typically don't get from some switches. So I do think these are a success, except for the fact that you need to clip the nubs on the side of the switch. So we show it like here, if you can see, these two would usually have nubs on them, and you just take a wire cutter, clip them off, just like you would with cherry stabilizers, and then you don't have plate fitment issues. It isn't so bad, except that it has 2 on each side, and that's 4 per switch, and I had 90, so 4 to 90, 360, so I do 360. It took 20 to 30 minutes to get through all that. But once you do that, I mean, you're sailing, it's smooth sailing from there. So yeah, that's sound and the little notes on the nubs. So feel and price. Yeah, so there's a slight scratch when you depress the switch, but in regular typing, the feel is very smooth. I'm noticing that there is scratch with switches, but it's more auditory than anything. I can't really feel it when I type. So it's one of those character things at this point. It's not detrimental in any way. The price is now discounted to 50 cents a switch from 60. I believe that's the discount. And at this price, I think it's very reasonable, if not more, because you can use 5% off with anyone's code and get it for even cheaper than 50 cents. I think that's how it works. If it doesn't, then 20% is still really good. But yeah, like for the full nylon housing and the 22 millimeter spring, which is not as common as you might think, it makes for a quick return and very satisfying type experience. But apart from that side tangent, it is a very unique switch. But would I keep it in my Hero? I personally don't think so. And it's not because the switch is bad. It's just because I don't really like short travel switches. For reference, these are 3.2 millimeter travel. I'm used to 4. I lose 0.8 millimeters there, which if you take a caliper, it doesn't look like much, but when you type a lot, it does actually it does add up over time. I'm just not used to it. I think if you force me to use it for a week, I would, but yeah, it's just not my forte. But the sound and the feel and the spring, they all work together and make a very great package, and I understand the value of it, especially at 50 cents. So yeah, definitely worth a try just to experiment with it, get to know how it feels and what a full nylon housing, including the stem, ends up sounding like. But yeah, I think it's a great switch. On to the next.